So we had a debate recently between the vice presidents, the vice presidential candidates, Tim Walz and JD Vance. Now, I'm not going to get too much into it because, first of all, it happened last week. Wait, what day was it? Yeah, no, it happened this week. Yeah, it happened this. Geez, I don't know. The days are going by so crazy. And like I said, with my Mets, I got a lot going on with the Mets, and they are consuming a lot of my time and a lot of my thought. And I got to tell you, it is very, very, it's cathartic. It's good that I am allowing this to replace some of the political crap that is going on in our country. But we did have a debate, and again, there wasn't. So here's the whole take on the debate. You had most people would come out and say that it was a tie, and that it was more cordial than the debates that we have been hearing over the years, which to some extent was refreshing. To some people was a little frustrating because some people thought that maybe Tim Walz was too nice to JD Vance. A couple things there. That's just who Tim Walz is. I think Tim Walz wanted to show that he is a guy who is genuine and wants to have real discussion and real debate. And his approach to doing that is to not try to insult, but to make his point and allow a counterpoint, take in the counterpoint and soften it a little bit and continue with his point. And, that's effective, I think, in a lot of ways. I think where people didn't like it too much is because what JD Vance says and who he is and how he's been saying things and what he has been saying is very dangerous stuff. And to sort of be schmaltzy about it and okay, hey JD, I get what you're saying. And the people are kind of like, no, we don't get what you're saying, buddy. You need to be called out very, very toughly for a lot of the things that you're saying. But at the end of the day, as I say a million times, this debate, like I said, I've told people that night, some people were sending me texts. I said, here's the thing, regardless of who you think won, how well you think Vance did, how well you think Tim Walz did, how bad you think they did, people are going to forget about this debate by lunchtime the next day, which pretty much they already have. I forgot that it was even this week. I really did. But what it did was, for some people, it humanized JD Vance and the perception of who they thought JD Vance was. But here's the reality of it. JD Vance still is that awful, terrible person who means everything that he has said. He means that he wants a federal ban on abortion. He means that childless cat ladies are losers. He means people who don't have children are psychotic. These are the kind of things that he did during the debate to soften his image a little bit. But all he was a charming liar during the whole time. And, what's his name? The serial killers, they're charming liars. So basically, JD Vance had serial killer vibes, Ted Bundy kind of vibes, that he was charming. He's able to lie to you and you get people to go, hey, he's not as bad as I thought. But trust me, he is as bad as you thought. But there was one moment during the debate that was the most talked about and probably the most important part of the debate. And this is when Tim Walz called out JD Vance to his face about
January 20th. He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Or the election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of...
I don't even know what he's talking about there. What specifically did Kamala Harris do to censor people's speech about COVID? Did anybody explain that? Does anybody know what that is? If you do, let me know. I have absolutely no idea what he's talking about. And when I say this, I want people to be specific. What speech was censored where Kamala Harris came in and said, You cannot say this. Please tell me what he's talking about.
Of the 2020 COVID situation.
That is a damning non-answer.
It's a damning non-answer for you to not talk about censorship. Obviously, Donald Trump and I think that there were problems in 2020. We've talked about it. I'm happy to talk about it further.
First of all, you're not happy to talk about it further. And this idea that there were problems in the 2020 election is untrue. It is not true. Not one bit of it has been proven. You could talk to the MAGA Bubbleverse and they will tell you that there absolutely has been proven. You're just not, what are you watching? CNN, MSNBC, and you're just letting them tell you what to think. I am letting the courts of the United States tell me what to think. And unless anybody could show me one court case, because I've looked through, as many as I could, I've read as much as I could about this. There's not one court case that even gave a hint that there was something nefarious about that election to where we need to look back and go, hold on a second now. This thing might have been stolen from Donald Trump. I mean, there's literally nothing. But J.D. Vance is going to stand there in front of the American people and tell them we still have questions. And this is part of J.D. Vance knowing that there is absolutely nothing that he can go on, but he knows the boss is watching. So he has to suck up to the boss and he has to continue this ruse that there were legitimate issues in the 2020 election. And again, we all know that this is not true. But last thing on the debate, not necessarily the clip from the debate, but they interviewed this young man, Marcus. MSNBC had a bunch of, I think it was like high school kids, and they asked Marcus about the debate. And this young man had one of the best answers I've heard anybody say about this debate.
And Marcus, about this constant criticism about the vice president not being able, about the vice president being in office for these last, he's already upset about it. The vice president being in office for all these years and not being able to make the change was the allegation from J.D. Vance. You said to me, I've been to high school civics class. Why did you say that?
Because if anybody took high school civics class, they'd know what the vice president can do and what the vice president can do.
We were talking, Marcus, about this constant criticism.
I'm going to get back to his clip here. This young man already sounds like he sounds like he could be a pundit already on one of these shows, but he does a really good job answering
the vice president being in office for all these years and not being able to make the change was the allegation from J.D. Vance. You said to me, I've been to high school civics class. Why did you say that?
Because if anybody took high school civics class, they'd know what the vice president can do and what the vice president can do. I want to make a quick point. Neither candidate on that stage talked about what executive action they're going to take on day one to do what they want, nor were they asked, because they know that they can't. That's not how the vice presidency works. You don't get to do what you want. You do what the president delegates you to do.
Yeah, that's one of the strongest points that anybody's made. They're like, they keep talking about Vice President Harris and why hasn't she done this and why hasn't she done that? Then if the vice president can do all the stuff that they're saying that she can do, then why do they not question the vice presidential candidates in the debate? What is it that you're going to do on day one? In fact, you can't find a vice presidential debate where they've ever asked the vice presidential candidate. And I'm saying this, not going back and watching all the vice presidential. But if anybody wants to go back and watch them and try to prove me wrong, be my guest, because they don't ask vice presidents, what will you do on day one? Because they can't set policy. It's not up to the vice president. The vice president is there to break ties in the Senate, which Vice President Harris has done more than any vice presidential vice president in the history of this country. They're also there to go and do some international work and do some other delegated things that the president asks them to do. And they're also there to serve in case something happens to the president. That is their main role. I mean, a vice president is almost like being a kicker on a team. You know, you just sit there until it's time for you to kick. Other than that, your role, you're not on the offense, you're not on the defense. You are there just to go into the game when it's time to kick. That's basically what a vice president does. It's really not a tough job, to be honest with you. That's why so many people want the job, because it's not that hard. It's like, hey, I'm just going to hang out. And if anything happens to this person, then I'm stepping in and I'm going to, on the job, learn how to do things just in case I need to step in. And I'll break a couple ties here and there in the Senate. But other than that, that's all I do. So this idea that Kamala Harris, what if she's going to do it now? Why didn't she do it in the 3.5 years? Again, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. This kind of nonsense is to dupe the people who are already duped enough to vote for you. They are already on your side. So to continue to press these people over and over and over again, I'm not even sure why you don't change course a little bit, because you've already got them. Donald Trump has proven in rally after rally after rally that he can pretty much say whatever he wants, and the people cheer. Yay, yay, Mr. Trump, you're going to protect my wife and my daughter. Yay, thank you, Mr. Trump. I feel so protected now that you're going to protect my wife and my daughter. I mean, Jesus Christ, when I heard that, I was like, what kind of dude? I went to see Lionel Richie in concert, and I love Lionel Richie, but he came out about an hour late. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm already pissed off. I'm like, Lionel, what are we doing? What is going on? I'm sitting there with my date, and finally he comes out. Kind of half pissed already, but I'm like, all right, he's out, and now he's singing the hits. Now I'm in. I'm like, oh, this is great. Lionel's doing his thing. I'm back in. And then Lionel gets up, and he's like, all right, guys, I'm here. I'm going to help warm up your women for you. I'm like, Lionel, hold on. I appreciate it, but I'll take care of that myself. I don't need you. Just sing the songs. And I'm not the, shut up and sing kind of guy. But when you're telling me that you're here to warm up my woman for me, I'll take care of that. I don't need that from you. But that's the vibe that I got from the people in the Trump audience when he says, women, I'm going to take care of you. Maybe there were some guys in the Lionel Richie audience are like, oh my God, thank God that he's going to help me out with her, because I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to pull it off. But that's what the kind of sense that I got with old Donnie Trump and the people in his audience cheering that he was going to take care of his ladies for him.